Every now and then, the universe deals a card no one expected, and that's exactly what happened when astronomers detected an object crossing our solar system at high speed, coming from far beyond the known frontiers. Named 3I Atlas, it is the third interstellar object ever recorded by humankind. They said it was just another comet, but from the very first observations, something didn't add up. 3. I Atlas didn't behave like anything ever seen before. Its brightness fluctuated in perfect intervals, its trajectory seemed to adjust itself, and its chemical signals simply shouldn't exist in natural space. It's no exaggeration to say that, from the beginning, it looked more like a machine than a cosmic block of ice. And here's where things get even stranger. While independent telescopes captured increasingly puzzling details, the official report sounded far too calm, almost cold, as if nothing unusual were happening. It's within this calculated silence that suspicion is born. Are we really being told everything about this interstellar visitor? When that doubt first arose, the very first clue quickly followed. 3I Atlas was not discovered in July as announced. Earlier records showed it had already been in the skies weeks before, slipping unnoticed among millions of stars. The images existed, they just hadn't been mentioned. And that's exactly where the strangeness grows, because those records revealed something disturbing. Even far from the sun, where any comet would remain inert, 3I Atlas was already showing clear signs of activity. A gigantic coma surrounded its nucleus, as if it were being fueled from within. This detail never appeared in official statements. It was uncovered by independent observatories, cross-checking data that only later came to light. Suddenly, the question lingering in the air no longer sounded like paranoia. Why hide the fact that the object was active in regions where it shouldn't be? The silence offered no answers. It only reinforced the sense that something was being carefully withheld. The more 3I Atlas was observed, the clearer it became that it did not follow the known rules. Instead of releasing material chaotically, as any comet does, it seemed to obey an invisible timer. Its brightness rose and fell in perfect intervals, as if someone had programmed its pulses. Independent reports confirmed its precise rotation of 16.79 hours. No significant variation, no delays, no deviations from the standard. The regularity was so strict it resembled the calibrated spin of a machine far more than a block of ice and dust launched through interstellar space. The most intriguing detail was its scale. We're talking about a structure dozens of kilometers across, releasing gas and dust like a colossal engine, yet never losing cadence for even a second. Astronomers compared it with other interstellar visitors. Oumuamua, too fast and without a tail. Borisov, resembling a classic comet, but 3I Atlas fit into neither category. And yet, the official statements insisted on describing it as just another unusual comet. No mention of the timed pulses, no emphasis on the fact that the entire body, nucleus, tail, and even the enormous gas cloud seemed to rotate together in unison, like interlocking gears. This contrast between what telescopes revealed and what was made public began to draw attention. After all, why downplay something so obvious? The silence seemed less like a scientific choice and more like a strategy to control the narrative. For attentive observers, the inevitable question echoed, how could a natural object maintain such perfect regularity for millions of years in space? The official response never came, but the data kept shouting. And the more the numbers were analyzed, the stronger the feeling grew that 3I Atlas carried a secret that couldn't be explained away as mere cosmic dust in rotation. After the timed pattern came another unsettling revelation, the color of 3I Atlas. Normally, comets display whitish or bluish tones, the result of light reflected by ice and dust. But this visitor didn't follow the manual. Independent observatories recorded a coma that was turning increasingly reddish in just a matter of weeks. This rapid change was anomalous. Comets can change color, but the process is slow, gradual, and generally tied to their proximity to the sun. What was seen in 3I Atlas was different, a sudden transformation, as if new materials were being released in successive layers, almost as though planned. And the official reports? Silence. While independent articles spoke of unprecedented behavior, the public notes merely described a typical variation of dust and gases. The discrepancy between the versions left the same question hanging: why downplay something so obvious? The most intriguing point was that this intense coloration resembled other interstellar objects, but with a speed of change never before recorded. It was as if 3i Atlas were reacting to the sun actively, instead of simply heating and sublimating like any other comet. Week by week, images captured by different telescopes revealed new hues, as if we were watching a living body in mutation. For those following closely, it was no longer possible to dismiss it as coincidence. Thus, the initial doubt expanded. If the color changed so quickly, if activity appeared so early, and if the rotation was so precise, how far could traditional explanations go? And faced with so many out-of-pattern signals, the question came back with even greater force. What exactly is not being told about this interstellar visitor? While independent telescopes recorded every strange detail, the official statements sounded almost rehearsed. They described 3i Atlas as an active comet, nothing more. No mention of the abrupt color changes, the early activity at improbable distances, or the timed brightness pattern. It was as if we were talking about two different objects, the 3i Atlas of independent researchers and the 3i Atlas of the official notes. This contrast fueled suspicion. After all, it wouldn't be the first time information about space phenomena was filtered before reaching the public. Many times, details considered controversial or hard to explain are pushed into technical reports, inaccessible to most people. The case of 3i Atlas seemed to follow that script, and the clues didn't stop there. When reports surfaced that its chemical composition showed absurd proportions of carbon and carbon dioxide, far beyond normal for a comet, the agencies merely repeated that the data was being analyzed. Nothing more, no clear explanation, no effort to contextualize why this was so unusual. Meanwhile, university teams published preliminary papers describing metallic particles with characteristics that didn't fit into any known natural models. It was explosive data, capable of completely changing the interpretation of the object, yet once again, silence in the official channels. This posture raised an inevitable question. What's worse, not knowing or being led to believe there's nothing new? Because in the case of 3i Atlas, the evidence was already too clear to be dismissed as coincidence. Ignoring these anomalies didn't make them any less real. With every emission, the perception grew that there was an effort to maintain a neutral tone, as if the word strange were forbidden. But the independent records were there, accessible, telling a different story. And in the face of this gap between what was seen and what was said, one question began to connect it all. Is the official story about 3i Atlas merely incomplete or deliberately controlled? No matter how much the official notes tried to maintain the narrative of normalcy, not everything could be suppressed. That's because images and analyses began leaking out in a decentralized way. Small observatories, amateur telescopes, and even research groups with no ties to major agencies released data that slipped through the institutional filter. These records showed 3i Atlas behaving in ways that went beyond unusual. At times, it displayed two distinct tails, one pointing away from the sun, as any comet would, and another in the opposite direction. This anti-solar tail simply shouldn't exist, yet it was photographed more than once. Another intriguing detail came from brightness measurements. Instead of fluctuating chaotically, as is common in unstable objects, 3i Atlas seemed to follow a rigid pattern, as if its nucleus operated in cycles. At precise intervals, a kind of luminous pulse repeated itself. For some independent astronomers, it was impossible not to notice the resemblance to a regulated mechanism. In addition, chemical analyses revealed the presence of materials that defy expectations. Metallic particles without iron, something that completely contradicts the natural logic of celestial body formation. This data circulated in technical papers and specialist forums, but was rarely mentioned in broader reports or official interviews. The result was inevitable. The more these details came to light, the more calculated the official silence sounded. How could such unusual phenomena be explained without shattering the narrative of just another comet? And if each leak reinforced the strangeness, it also strengthened the feeling that the public was only receiving a fraction of the story. 3. Atlas seemed to escape not only the control of telescopes, but also the control of official versions. The strange signs of 3i Atlas kept piling up. What once could be dismissed as coincidence or measurement error began to form a picture that was impossible to ignore. In September, large telescopes recorded what looked like a sudden expansion of the coma, as if the object had received an external energy surge. Just days earlier, a powerful solar ejection had swept through the region. The timing of the events left many uneasy. Brightness analyses only deepened the discomfort. The pattern of luminous pulses didn't vanish. On the contrary, it became even clearer. It wasn't the irregular variation of a natural body, but a repetitive, almost mechanical cycle clocked at specific hours. For those tracking the light curves, it was like watching a machine at work in the cosmic darkness. Meanwhile, independent reports showed the object displaying concentric layers of gases in rotation, all moving in the same rhythm. This organized structure fits no known comet model. The impression was unmistakable. There was order in the chaos, an order that didn't arise by chance. But the most troubling detail came from its composition. 3I Atlas showed absurd proportions of carbon dioxide compared to water, the exact opposite of what is seen in normal comets. On top of that, the detection of nearly pure nickel without iron raised a dilemma no one seemed willing to face. In nature, these elements always appear together. Here, they didn't. The official statements, however, remained static, speaking of expected variations. By this point, the gap between the official narrative and independent evidence had become a chasm. This was no longer about astronomical curiosities, but about data suggesting we were dealing with something radically new, or at the very least, profoundly misunderstood. And so, the doubt ceased to be mere suspicion and became an unavoidable provocation. How much longer can the version that 3I Atlas is just an unusual comet be sustained? With each new anomaly revealed, the room for conventional explanations grew smaller. It was in this context that hypotheses began to emerge far beyond traditional astronomy. Some scientists suggested that 3I Atlas could be a cosmic cedar, an interstellar fragment capable of accelerating planet formation when falling into dust disks around young stars. This view placed it as part of a natural mechanism of creation, a key piece in understanding how worlds like ours are born. But not everyone leaned toward cosmic biology. Other researchers highlighted that the regularity of the pulses, the strange chemical composition, and the unusual stability of its rotation resembled the workings of an artifact more than those of a frozen rock. The idea that the object might be some kind of interstellar technology gained traction in bolder circles, even if without definitive proof. Even within science, there was discomfort. Some argued that if it wasn't natural, 3I Atlas could be technological debris, remnants of extinct civilizations scattered across the galaxy, a cosmic fossil in the shape of a machine. Speculative, yes, but no more absurd than accepting pure metals and inexplicable light patterns as coincidences. Curiously, in the face of these discussions, the official institutions maintained the same cautious stance. They didn't openly deny, but neither did they admit the full extent of the strangeness. This contrast between daring hypotheses and calculated silence from agencies only served to fuel the sense that there was much more to this story than was being told. While debates heat up, time moves on relentlessly. Unlike other space mysteries that can be studied for decades, 3I Atlas has specific dates along its trajectory, moments when it will reveal, whether we like it or not, more about its true nature. It's as if a cosmic clock were counting down. The first milestone is its approach to Mars. Telescopes and probes are already scheduling detailed observations, taking advantage of the passage at a distance close enough to reveal structures invisible from Earth. For independent scientists, this is the decisive point. Either it confirms natural patterns, or it reveals something impossible to ignore. Another critical moment is perihelion, when 3I Atlas passes closest to the Sun. The intense radiation and extreme heat may strip away hidden secrets, triggering gas explosions, abrupt brightness changes, or even fragmentation of the nucleus. Any behavior outside expectations during this phase could turn suspicions into certainties. After that comes its passage near Earth, still at a safe distance. Space observatories like James Webb and Hubble plan to capture every detail of its tail, its chemistry, and its rotation. It's a rare chance to study an interstellar visitor so completely, from the beginning to the end of its journey through our cosmic backyard. Thus, each date on the calendar is not just an astronomical event, but a chapter waiting to be written before everyone's eyes. And the unsettling question grows clearer. When those moments arrive, what will be revealed to the public and what will remain locked away in confidential reports? After so many anomalies, contradictions, and silences, one inevitable question remains. How much are we really being told about 3I Atlas? If it were just another comet, why do so many strange data points seem softened or omitted in official statements, while independent telescopes reveal behaviors that defy all known logic? 3I Atlas continues its journey, indifferent to our doubts, but each step brings signs that cannot be easily explained. Perhaps we are facing nothing more than a celestial body science does not yet fully understand. Or perhaps we are unknowingly looking at something far greater. A reminder that the universe holds secrets not everyone is ready to confront. And you? Do you think 3I Atlas is just another comet? Or could it be the first evidence of something much bigger? Share your opinion in the comments. See you in the next video.